Alright, Shalom. Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Wakak Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go in part 3. And, the second coming of our Lord, the second coming of YAHAWASHI. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. It's, let me see it here. Alright, we're going to go into 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 1 on down. We'll probably go down to about like the 11th verse. Alright, so this right here, these scriptures right here is focusing on, because, you may hear, if you've been following the teachers of YAHAWASHI, in the truth, in the faith, okay, you may hear, the teachers say, oh, well, the Lord is going to return in the middle of World War III. Here are those scriptures to show you that. Okay, here are the scriptures to show you that. Just to show you that, the prophet's not out there just like guessing, well, yeah, the Lord's going to come right in the middle. Like, well, how do you figure that? Well, it's right here, okay? Because if people are not using the scriptures, if they're just pulling stuff out of their hats, pulling stuff out of their rear end, that's just their opinion. That's just how they feel. See? So, without further ado, let's get right into it. 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 1 on down. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. So what happened right here is that, the Lord, YAHAWASHI, gave Esdras a vision. See? So what that is that, you can see, like the future, and that's straight from the Lord. So like they're heavy. Those of you that in the truth, you guys can discern. You guys know what it is, because sometimes you guys know, like, okay, that was just a dream, or you'll know, like, yeah, that was a vision, and then you pray on it, like, yeah, that's confirmation, like, that was, yeah. 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the ways thereof. All right. So right here, there arose a wind from the sea. So that's not just talking about, a wind blew on top of the ocean. Okay, that's talking about the spaceship. Okay, the sea represents outer space. All right. Yeah, so that's why this thing's a mystery, because not a lot of people can get it. Because you have to be this Bible is like, it's in parables, it's in riddles. Riddles is something that makes you, because you have to think about it, like, oh, like, damn, that's what that meant. You have to stop for a second. You have to figure it out. You see? But that's why the true teachers of YAHAWASHI are breaking down these scriptures to you. Sometimes, to get full breakdowns, the teachers will only hit about 4 or 5 scriptures, and it'll take like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. There's a lot, sometimes there's a lot to go into, so these breakdowns can take a long time. With the second coming of YAHAWASHI, there's so much. There's so much. There's Isaiah, we can go into Jeremiah. There's a lot, so to really get everything, it'll take a long time. But that's why these breakdowns are very important. because it's to explain what everything means. See, that way you can get a thorough understanding of, how the Lord's coming. Why is he upset with the Edomites? It's not just, oh, the so-called white man's evil. Like, no, it's, there's a lot being said here. And remember, just because if you look like a so-called Caucasian doesn't mean you're an Edomite. All right, because there's so-called Caucasians out there that believe in the Lord. So that's just to, set that record straight. All right. Yeah, because the Edomites are wicked, but there are, remember, Caucasians out there that look Caucasians, but they're actually Israelites. Because remember, we've been in slavery for a very long time. So you have to, understand that. You got to understand that. The Israelites are going to look like everybody. So-called Asians, so-called Arabs, so-called East Indians. So remember, us Israelites, we're scattered across the four corners of the earth. Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 2. Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind. So that wind represents destruction. So that's the spaceship, okay, the so-called UFO, because YAHAWASHI is coming, the Lord's coming from the sea. Because that's why it's called a spaceship, because out there in outer space, you ever seen like Star Wars? What else they got? Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy. Where they just kind of show you, like in the movies, like outer space. Because you see, like when those spaceships, when they're rolling, like it's kind of like they're just rolling like in the sea, like because that's why it's called a ship, a spaceship. Because it's out there, See? So that's the sea, but it's not talking about the water, it's talking about outer space. See? That it moved all the ways thereof. Yeah, because the Lord's coming with great destruction, a lot of power. And behold, and lo, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. So that's not a regular man, because Yahawashi is coming with millions of angels. You can't even count them. All right, so right there with the thousands of heaven, because the Lord's not just coming with one ship. Okay, remember, Yahawashi's ship is bigger than the earth. Imagine that, and that's facts right there. Yahawashi's ship is bigger than the planet Earth, and these top, leaders around the world, they see him. Like these top Freemasons, these top people in NASA, they're all Freemasons, so they're all sworn into secrecy. All right, but they see ships all the time because they have very advanced telescopes out there, and the satellites and all that. So they see these ships in detail, and they're freaking out, man. They're freaking out, man. See, so because they know that the information that the prophets, the true teachers of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, are bringing out is facts, to the T, because a lot of people may say, oh yeah, they're crazy out there, look at these dudes, yeah, but that's just your copper tops, who don't even know what the hell is going on, excuse my Italian, but those top elites, people who are in the know, like top people in CIA, top people in these top military intelligence, they know. Okay, they know, because they take this very seriously. They're scared, because they've seen it. They have the information, but they don't tell the masses, but they got it. Trust and believe that. All right, so, so they're worried, because when it comes down to war, when it comes down to reality, you put two and two together, they know that how can we fight these things? Like, there's no way. They know it's just only a matter of time before, because whoever's not on the Lord's good list, it's only a matter of time before they perish. You know? Yeah, it's just when and how. That's the thing, you know? Let's continue. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. Right. So everybody on the planet Earth. All right, because once the Lord gets here, remember that first, if you guys ever seen that movie with Will Smith, the first Independence Day? All right, remember how that whole ship covered the whole sky? But that was only like, it wasn't that, it was maybe like the size of, maybe it was like, 50 miles in diameter. All right. But that's kind of like a little illustration, a little example to give you guys, because the Lord's YAHAWASHI ship is bigger than the earth. And remember, he's coming with millions of them. So remember, the ships are going to totally surround the earth, totally cover the skies. That's why Revelation 1:7 says every eye shall see him. Because remember, there's more angels than there are mortals. Okay, and this is just one planet. Remember, it's huge out there. It's huge. It's huge. All right, so this is it's something major, It's gonna be, yeah, it's it'll be very the Lord has that much power, man. So right here, and all things trembled that were seen under him, because the Lord's ship is going to, he's going to come, right above the planet Earth, but his whole ship is going to cover the whole earth. See, so everything trembled, because people that are not part of the elect are going to be bugging out, scared as heck, when the Lord arrives. Because a lot of people don't believe it. They're like, yeah, right, But remember, top people like Freemasons, stuff like that, the top Jesuits, the top dukes and all that, they know. All right, this is why, once again, you have your secret societies, you have all these Masons and stuff, because they're holding the secrets, because they're not telling the masses. That's why the true prophets are a major threat, because we're just telling the people out there, what, top information, what these Freemasons and top military intelligence have, but the prophets have more information than them. See? So that's why are the prophets a major threat? Not because they're out there with knives and stuff like that and swords. It's because they have the top information even above them. See? Because they got top info. You see? But why is that? It's not just because, it's all about the prophets. No, it's because the Lord truly deals with the prophets. Like when the Lord was dealing with Moses, like that, the Lord really deals with his prophets. But really, giving messages, sometimes even talk to him, Yeah, that's the thing, the Lord really deals with his prophets. The prophets are YAHAWASHI's brothers. Remember, YAHAWASHI has brothers, and that's the 144. So the 144 and the Lord are close, man. Yeah, it ain't like just, hey, hey, yeah, hey, hey, I know about the Lord, and hey, the Lord talked to me, like, oh yeah, right, this guy said the Lord talked to him, yeah, right, No, the Lord actually talks to his prophets. You see, that's why they don't give a damn what people say, because the Lord's, actually deals with the prophets on the personal level. So it don't matter if people laugh and all that. That just means that's on you. That's just on them, because you don't believe. But that don't mean that that these prophecies are gonna happen. That don't mean that the Lord's not real, not alive. See? That just means that that person's being silly. That, you know, you think, oh, okay, these people are crazy, whatever. That's just on you. See what I'm saying? See, because it goes nowhere. Because that's just your opinion, but you don't know the truth. See? Huh? So that's why you gotta get a little season in this thing, you know? Because in the beginning, you know, you might be upset, like, damn, you know, I'm pushing for the Lord. Why are people making fun of me? Why are people laughing at me? But it's all right. Because once you get seasoned, you know, like, it don't matter what they believe. Because if they don't believe, it don't matter. Because they're not going to change the dynamic of things. They're not going to change prophecy. You see? So why even worry about it? Because they're not going nowhere. You know, number one. Number two, nobody can change anything, not even the Dukes. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, they can't change anything. See? So why even stress, you know, why even worry about them? Don't even worry about them. Because, you know, no matter how mad they are, they can't change anything. Verse 4, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, okay, all they burnt that heard his voice. So yeah, it's not talking about the Lord talking here. All right, it's talking about a laser coming out of that spaceship. See? All they burnt, because, you know, why do they burn? Because it's talking about, remember, once again, let's go back to that movie, Independence Day. If you guys ever seen that movie Independence Day, where, remember the ship, you know, went over like downtown Los Angeles, over like remember we went to like Washington, and it destroyed those buildings with that laser, like that, you know? Because remember, the Lord's coming with lasers, big lasers. Here in this world, okay, you know, here in this world, you know, you know, these heathens, the Edomites, they have lasers too, but not like the Lord, you know? Imagine what the Lord and the angels got. Remember, to all of our enemies out there, remember, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, man. Like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. Verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men of number from the four winds. Yeah, so there was a lot of people gathered together in one spot, you know, from the four winds, from the four corners of the earth, which is what? World War III. Because you're going to have all nations from all over the world fighting each other right there at the Saudi Arabia Peninsula. See? Out of a number from the four winds of heaven to subdue a man that came out of the sea. Right. So this right here. Here we go. Now we're getting to the juicy part. Because everyone's going to stop what they're doing. Because, yeah, Russia is going to be fighting against the United States, you know, with China, Iran, you know, NATO. Yeah, they're all going to be fighting each other in this third world war. But once YAHAWASHI get here, all these nations are going to communicate with each other like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is for real. It's because they're going to put their fight to the side and say, hey, we could have our war later. You know, we have to fight these spaceships. We gotta fight these things. We got to come together. You see? That one president said that, I believe it was Ronald Reagan, you know, who said that. He goes, hey, Ronald, let me get it real fast. It was, all I gotta do is just kind of see his face. Let's see, President Reagan, let's see. Yeah, it was Reagan, okay? He had a speech a while back ago that said, he had a speech again that said, oh yeah, wouldn't we all come together to fight these things? You know, if we know that there was an outer threat. All right. So yeah, because all these nations, yeah, they really are, you know, gonna go at it with each other. That's for real. In this third world war. But once YAHAWASHI and the angels get here, they're all gonna say, well, shit, we could put our. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because the world's not ready to see the angelic forces, the army of angels. Remember, in World War III, it's not just Russia, China, NATO. You know, the left-hand side with robots. No, the angels are going to fight in this thing too. You know, you're about to see angelic forces out here, you know, come out of those spaceships. Brace yourselves now. Okay. So this is something that you have to think about. Okay. All right. So you know this is right here. So to subdue. Let's read that last part again. To subdue a man that came out of the sea, from outer space, because once these nations, see that once these nations see that Yahawashi arrived in those spaceships, they're gonna be mightily afraid, mightily afraid. You see? So this is something very, very major that's gonna partake out here, because they're gonna be fighting, and they're gonna see something that they're not used to, that's just so powerful. They're like, hey, imagine that, where all these nations that hate each other are gonna be going at it, killing each other. They're actually gonna stop and all join forces and say, well, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like, hey, we can have our fight later. Like, we gotta come together. We gotta fight these things. See? And they're gonna get smashed. It's not like Independence Day where they're gonna find a weak spot. And no, that's all Hollywood film. That's just Esau's imagination. See? Because remember, Esau's a storyteller. All right, remember, because in this society, people believe in stuff that's not real. Somebody will say, oh, no, they're not. People, they believe in real stuff. Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff here that people believe in that's not real. Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy. Raise your hand if you ever seen them. But yeah, people spend thousands of dollars on Christmas lights, and stuff like that. A Christmas tree, for real. How many of you guys ever seen Santa? Don't worry, I'll wait. We're not over here just talking crap. We're just giving you the facts. That's why these heathens and Edomites are hurt, because they're exposed. Yeah, but that's what you get for lying. That's why the prophets are calm and collective. They don't got to get mad and hire agents and do all this stuff. Why? Because it's the truth. You already got it. See, why are these heathens all mad? Because they're being exposed. Because they're storytellers. This is why they're going to get, like, their beatdown is going to be legendary. Because they're not what they say they are. And they're definitely not gods. They're about to fight the real gods. Yahawashi, the 144, and the angels. See, so they're about to get beat down real bad. Let them get mad. Remember, let them get mad. Let them get angry. It's all right. That don't change the fact. That don't change the dynamic of anything. Anything. See, because they're not gods. They're very, very vulnerable. All right, and they've been lying to the world, so they gotta pay for what they did. That's why the Lord said, don't worry about them. You didn't lie to the world, they did, so they gotta pay for that tab. It's all right. You guys just focus on your walk. Don't worry about them. Verse 6. What was it? But I beheld, and lo, that he had graved himself on a great mountain and flew upon it. Yahawashi, because he's gonna fly upon that gigantic spaceship. Okay, Yahawashi is coming in that gigantic spaceship. That mountain represents a spaceship. All right. So that mountain is talking about a great mountain, that gigantic spaceship, and flew upon it. Verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was driven, and I could not. So Esdras is saying, because when he looked up, all he saw was a spaceship. Like right now, like say in the daytime, you look up and all you see is just blue sky. Okay, when he looked up, because remember, he saw this. He was there, So when he looked up on the sky, all he saw was spaceship. He couldn't see no blue skies, no clouds, no nothing. Because imagine when Yahawashi arrives, he's gonna cover the whole sky. So it's gonna be, remember, like it tells us in Zephaniah, okay, and in Amos, it's gonna be a very dark day. All right, because it's a day of judgment. You know, it's very real. Remember, the Lord exists. All right, it's very, man. You know, it ain't no joke. You know, imagine that. Imagine looking up and the whole sky is a spaceship. All right, so Ezra saw this. Verse 7. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graven, and I could not. So Ezra is telling us that when he looked up, all he saw was spaceship. As far as he saw to the north, as far as he looked to the south, as far as he looked to the east, and as far as he looked to the west, he couldn't see he couldn't see the edges of the spaceship. You know, because it was like, you know, because it's that big. It's bigger than the earth. You know, so can you imagine? So he's saying that when he looked up, he couldn't even see the edges of the spaceship. He couldn't see where it began or where it ended. All he saw was spaceship. Imagine that? Yeah, so that's why, like, our enemies, remember, our enemies ain't going nowhere. Nowhere, you know? Yeah, it don't matter, you know? Just stay calm. Remember that. The Lord got him. The Lord got him. Verse 8. And I beheld. After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him. So remember how they're all going, all these nations, once they see the Lord. Remember we told you about that speech about Ronald Reagan, how they're all going to come together to fight. So here it is. In World War III. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid. Yeah, because once they see it, they're going to be like, damn. You know, how are we going to fight this, you know? Because you imagine when they see, like, the pilots, because you have pilots in the Air Force, you know, that are taking videos with their phones, you know, that you know, fly these jets and stuff. They're not supposed to do that, but they do it, you know, and they're telling their wives, they're telling people, like, you're not supposed to, but they're saying, like, hey, man, like, you know, I can't help it, because what are these things? Because they see a lot of these pilots have run-ins with the so-called UFOs, with the angels, the spaceships, you know, and they're like, man, I can't explain it. How are they moving so fast? They disappear, they reappear. All right, so they're telling people, like, hey, like, you know, their wives and stuff like that. They're like, hey, like, there's something out there, you know. Yeah, and these are pilots, you know, so these ain't just people just, you know, like in New Mexico, all bugged out, you know. Like, no, this is you know, these are real trained, you know, pilots that, you know, they're witnessing that, you know, so, and they're even videoing it, you know, around the world, because now everybody has a recording device on their smartphones. See, so that's why that's another reason why these elites are being exposed, because people, you know, people can't deny it no more, because it's the ships are showing themselves that frequent, you know. So how can people deny it? You know, it's just right there. You know, everybody's seeing them worldwide, because the Lord is showing you, I'm about to return. You know, those of you that are right with the Lord is gonna pick you up in safety. Those of you that are not, the Lord is gonna lay you down. See? So let's get from the top again. Second Ezra 13, verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet there's fight. Yeah, because they're going to be so afraid that they're not even going to want to fight, you know? Some people are like, no, hell no. Like, I didn't sign up for this. You know, you can't fight that. Imagine. So there's people, they're already scared, because they're like, look at these things. How can we fight them, you know? And those are the small spaceships. Imagine when the big ship gets here, it covers the whole world. Imagine, people's hearts are just gonna drop. You know, people are like, oh, no way, like no way. You know, like, there's no way that's real, no way. You know, yeah. So they're not gonna want to fight, but the Lord's gonna use like MK Ultra, but like spiritual. You know, so the Lord's gonna make you fight them. You know, because all these heathens are talking trash around the world. So the Lord's gonna like, no, you fight me. You know, so the Lord's gonna make you fight them. So those soldiers out there that are like, no, I can't fight this. Like, no, hell no. I just signed up for this shit. You know? Excuse my Italian. The Lord is gonna, you know, he's gonna use spiritual power, you know, go in your mind, in the mind of the soldiers, and he's gonna make you fight. Yeah. Yep. Remember, our Lord's a man of war, and He hears all our enemies are talking trash and all that. It's all right. So remember, when the Lord gets here, hey, the Lord got something for him. Remember, YAHAWASHI is a man of war. Oh yeah. You know. Just look at the whole world right now. Is the whole world at peace or is the whole world at war? Why is that? You know, it's not just because the elites got everything all turned upside down. It's because the Lord's coming. Remember, the Lord's coming to wage war on our enemies. The whole world's at war. Why is that? Because Yahawashi is coming. It's to show you that our Lord is a God of war. Yup. Yeah. Yeah, our Lord, He loves to fight. You know, yeah. He created Esau just to fight him. You know? See, a lot of you guys don't know the Lord. A lot of you say, oh yeah, God loves everybody, and you know, nah. You guys don't know Yahawashi. You don't know Yahweh. You know? Man. But hey, a lot of people are gonna be in for a rude awakening. Verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, so out of the spaceship, as he had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips, and a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, so lasers. Okay. Verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with the violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burnt them up, every one. So the Lord's gonna hit lasers on all of them out there in the battle of Armageddon. Okay, there may be some of the elect out there, you know, because hey, some people maybe get drafted, but the Lord's gonna be with you if you get drafted. Remember that, okay? So those of you that are out there, that part of the hopeful elect, you know, and you're out there, the angels are gonna beam you up. You know, the angels will protect you, but everybody else is gonna get zapped to powder. They're gonna be vaporized. Which you ever seen like Superman? You know how he can hit people with like his laser eyes, and then he has like a big old laser, like just to hit everybody. The Lord has that, so He's gonna hit everybody. He has big lasers, big, man. We're talking big, man. See, so he's gonna just vaporize everybody fast. Everything, tanks, jets, they're gonna be gone within seconds. Yeah, imagine that. You know? Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, they put the Lord in the box. Like, oh, what can the Lord do? You know? Yeah, well, you guys about to find out. You see? You know? Which was prepared to fight and burn them up, every one, so that upon of a sudden of a multitude, multitude, nothing was to be perceived, because there's going to be millions of people fighting out there in the battle of Armageddon. It means mountain of armies, mountain of troops, because from the outside looking in, you're just going to see all these soldiers, militaries fighting one another in one location. So it's going to look like just a mountain of troops, you know? So that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, innumerable means you can't count them, because that's how much soldiers and militaries are going to be fighting out there in the Middle East. So it's going to be millions, you know, you can't even count them. Nothing was to be perceived. All right, so from millions of people, you can't even count them, because World War III is going to be major. Okay, major. That's why, because everyone's getting involved right now. You know, it's just right now it's called the buildup. All right, NATO, the U.S., China, North Korea, the Arabs, you know, East Indians, Africans. Everybody's preparing for war. That's all you see. You see, but that's the Lord doing it, because the Lord's getting them ready. See, it's not just these nations just going at it with one another. That's the Lord preparing these nations for war. Yeah, remember that, you know. Nothing was to be perceived, because from millions of people, you can't even count them, you know, fighting each other in the battle of Armageddon, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Nothing was left. All right, so you had, you know, you had a number where you couldn't even count them, millions and millions to nothing. All right, but only dust and and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Imagine, because Yahawashi is gonna hit him with that big laser. So imagine, from millions of people, war shots, people getting stabbed, people getting shot, you know, people, hey man, I'm hit, all these noises from shouts and grenades and RPGs and machine guns, to nothing. So this is what he saw. He went, imagine from seeing people fighting each other in the Middle East where you couldn't even count them. There was millions of soldiers. China themselves have a million plus army. That's just China. So imagine America, all these robots, Russia, NATO, everybody is millions. It's a lot of people. A lot. It's a lot. Whole lot. See? So imagine seeing all these people, all these people fighting each other, and you couldn't even count them, and then to just nothing, because the Lord's gonna vaporize everybody fast, just boom, 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 boom. Quick work, quick work. Because remember, the Lord has big lasers, big. Yeah, like these elites, they have lasers too out there in outer space, but not like Yahawashi, not like YAHAWASHI, and the angels. Wait till they start shooting them lasers. Yeah, they could destroy a whole city quick. One angel can destroy a whole planet. These people are underestimated the power of our Lord. One angel can do that to the earth. So how much more the Lord himself when he gets here? That's why the Lord told our enemies, only 1 hour. The Lord's going to destroy everybody in 1 hour. It's not too fast where you can't even see it, because the Lord's going to do his thing. You're actually going to see the Lord fight. You're actually going to see the Lord and the angels fight out here. Not so long where it's a long time, and not so fast where like, man, I didn't even see it. I missed it. Damn, It's 1 hour. So the Lord's going to, oh yeah, it's just enough, It's not so fast where you're like, damn, I didn't see it. I missed it. But it's not so long. Because remember, the Lord hates our enemies. So the Lord wants to fight them already too. They want to fight. Some of them want to fight the Lord, but the Lord wants to fight them too. So, and it's not that long, because the Lord can't even stand looking at them no more. See, that's why right now the planet Earth is spinning faster. Okay, just Google it, because the Earth right now, the planet Earth is spinning faster than ever was. That's because the Lord's speeding up time. Yeah, because remember, the Lord wants to come and give our enemies these beat down. And also, he wants to come and establish his kingdom on the planet Earth, and save his elect already. Yeah. See? So the Lord's actually spinning the earth faster. Yep, for the elect's sake. Yeah. There's a lot that the Lord is doing for the elect. A lot. There's a whole lot going on. Look at these nations pointing ICBMs at each other. Who do you think that is? Who do you think put thoughts in their minds to do that? To say, oh no, F you, no, F you, no, F you. Okay, well, let's send nuclear submarines. Okay, well, let's do that. Who do you think is putting thoughts in their head to do that? Well, let's mobilize the nuclear submarines. Just in case. Just in case. Because Trump sent nuclear submarines out there, because things are getting heated right now between Russia, See? So, they're like, hey, just send a nuclear sub out there just in case, just in case Russia wants to act fresh. See? But Russia has nuclear subs right here too, surrounding the U.S., on the south of the U.S. and on the west coast of the U.S. You got China over there on the east coast, Yeah. What you gotta know out there is that, the United States is completely surrounded. Yeah, because remember, United States, they lose. They lose in this Third World War. Right, because these other nations are strong, Yes, America is still very strong, but these nations are right there, They're not that far behind. Russia, China, Iran, so they're all gonna team up to destroy this hoe, to destroy America. Yes, there's something. Hey, but not only that, it's the Lord too, because the Lord is gonna use these nations. The Lord is not with these nations. He's just gonna use them. Yeah, so imagine, You know? So these nations are gonna come with crazy war tactics, crazy strategies. Oh yeah. You know? Because who do you think is putting thoughts in all their minds? Because all these leaders right now are like, no, F you, no, F you. You know? See? All right, well, let's mobilize nuclear, let's start mobilizing these nuclear missiles. Well, shit, you want to act fresh? Okay, you want to talk shit? Excuse my talent. Okay, let's put nuclear subs right there. We'll teach them. See? Who do you think's making them do that? The Lord. So the Lord's about to have these nations destroy each other, obliterate each other. You know, it's not just, oh, hey, the U.S. is showing Russia. Oh, Putin told Trump. Nah, it's the Lord. Okay, remember, the Lord tells the angels, and the angels are putting these thoughts in these leaders' mind to get this party started. It's already rolling. It's the Lord. Who do you think's doing that? It's the Lord. The Lord is showing you, look, I'm about to destroy these clowns right before your eyes. Look it. You know, the same way how the so-called white man put us all in these ghettos and these barrios and these slums. You know, because we're although you have all this, you know, all these tensions. You know, because the so-called white man created all that. The Crips and the Bloods, the Southsiders and Northsiders. That's all created by the so-called white man. It's for division, for we can kill each other. You know, all of our people fighting against each other, you know, over blocks that they don't even own. You know, but that's all right. So how the same thing that the so-called white man did to us, you know, divide and conquer, that's what the Lord's doing to these nations. But like in a big way. You know, in a big way, not just neighborhoods and, oh yeah, this is, you know, 21st Street or, you know, whatever. No, big, you guys. See, so the Lord's like, all right, shit, you know, two can play that game. So the Lord's like, look what I'm doing. See, those of you that are paying attention, you're like, oh shit, you know. If you're not, you're like, oh, whatever. You know, because you're not paying attention. But if you're paying attention, you'll see that it's very real. You know? It's very real. Yeah, but it's not, remember, it's not just Trump being upset. It's not just Putin, like, damn. It's not just NATO. It's the Lord. The Lord's making them do this. Why do you think these nations are moving like they're moving? Because the Lord. Remember, the Lord's about to destroy them. Remember, Psalms 91, only with thy eyes shall they see the reward of the wicked. So the Lord's like, look, I'm showing you. You know, I'm showing you my spaceships. Check them out. You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, look, check out these nuclear missiles. I'm going to have all these niggas pointing them at each other. Oh, yeah. See? You know? He's going to have, right now, all these, even Israel. Okay, Israel is, you know, an ally of the United States. Even they have an ICBM pointed at the U.S. Yep. Yeah. Just in case the U.S. tries to act fresh. You ever hear them talk like that? Like, oh, just in case? Hey, just in case, you know? Hey, why do you have one pointed at America? You know? They're supposed to be our friends. Like, oh, well, just in case, you know? Just in case they try to act fresh. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, Israel, who was friends, you know, with the U.S., who was always crying for U.S. help us. They even have an ICBM pointing at America right now, just in case, you know, just in case things go south, you know. But that's like on the hush hush, you know. Remember that R. Kelly song, "Keep It on the Down Low," you know, the DL, you know, on the hush hush. Yeah, they got it too because remember, all these devils, they're devils, you know. They're all wicked. So it's gonna be like that movie Sopranos. You know how they all turn on each other? That's these dudes, you know? Because remember, Putin, check them out, you know? Just look at these clowns. Look at how long Elon Musk and Trump lasted. You know, they're all supposed to be all cool. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Elon Musk and Trump. Now look at them, trying to destroy each other. Look at these dumbasses, you know? You know, excuse my Italian, you know, but just look at them. Look at these retards. You know, they couldn't even last half a year and they're trying to destroy each other already. It's like, yo, what the hell? Look at these retards. This is why they cannot rule. Because they can't even control themselves. They don't even respect themselves. They're like, no, I gotta have it my way. Fuck them. F them. Look at these retards. Now look at Trump and Musk. What are they doing? I thought they were best buds, you know? And a Tesla. You know, look at them now. See? Because these heathens and Edomites are retarded. They're retards. Yeah, you know, I think they're retarded or something. Yeah, they're in loser denial. hey, you know, look at, remember Trump supposedly trying to make it cool, like, you know, supposed to go meet with Putin. Now they're over here like, all right, fuck. Now they're over here sending nukes and stuff, you know? But yeah, they're cool. See how retarded these dudes are? You know, you're telling me our enemies are not retarded? You know, we're not out here just talking trash. I mean, just all we're doing is just pointing things out. You know, just look at them. Look at, you know? See? So this is why too that they can't. This is why they can't rule the earth, because they're just gonna destroy each other until there's nothing left. All right. If the Lord wouldn't return, like as soon as He would, these dudes, the so-called white man, he'll actually kill himself. He's so stubborn. He's so selfish that that he will. He'll destroy himself. You know, look at Elon Musk and Trump. You know, you're telling me Elon Musk couldn't just like stay quiet? Like, let's say whatever Trump said something that offended Elon Musk. So what? He should have just like, all right, well, he's the president. You know, whatever. You know, like let me just have his. He's the leader. Nah, he's like, fuck him. You know, see, because nobody respects each other. That just shows you that these Edomites, they got no class, they got no integrity, because they're like, hey, he's the king, you know, he's the boss, whatever, you know. You know, ultimately these bankers rule everything, but you know, it's just to show you like these dudes have no integrity, they got no class, because they're like, oh well, fuck them. I'm like, damn, that fast, you know? It's like, shit, look at these niggas, you know, just look at them. You tell me they're not cave dwellers? You know, Esau, the so-called white man, they're like rich kids with toys. You know, who are stubborn, who are selfish, and who have to have stuff their way. You know? Yeah, they're morons. See what I'm saying? Know what I mean? So with that, that's it on the part 3 on YAHAWASHI. Is on the day of YAHAWASHI. Stay strong out there. On your feet, soldier. Shalom.